Stop being on the sidelines and letting other people care more about your financial life and your money than you. Get that clarity, that certainty, that direction, the confidence, the control, the guarantees. When you apply this simple strategy, I call it the 3T methodology, you are guaranteed to have the financial results that you desire. And it's simple, yes. Easy, well. And how many of you were taught to feel like you're, or taught to save money, but never taught how to use your money strategically? And pop it in the chat. And how many of you feel like your money is working harder for other people's lives than it is for you? Well, if that's you, and if it's not, welcome. You're in the right place. And I want to, as always, honor you for showing up. You're giving your most valuable asset, your time and your attention, and that's not cheap. But today, like I shared right pre-show, I'm not talking a theory. If you implement what I'm going to show you today, things will change for the better. I guarantee it. Because why? Because I've done it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the 3T framework: train, test, and teach, and how it can reframe the way that you build wealth. You're going to understand why infinite banking is a system, not a product, a mindset, a foundation. It's what the wealthiest have been doing for generations. And you're going to see where most people get stuck and how you can move forward with clarity and conviction. Walk away with the practical steps, the simple steps that you can take today, whether you're brand new or you're already in the game. Maybe it's time to take your game to the next level. And I'll be honest, like when I first heard about this strategy, I thought, I've shared this before, if this was true, every American would do it. And I hesitated. I did not have clarity. I did not know what the next step was. And so I got stuck in analysis paralysis for a bit as I read, as I studied, as I did the first T. But over time, my confidence grew, my conviction grew, and then clarity came. And clarity came because of the action. And this transformed from being a pursuit to give my family back control, to give the confidence back to our family, to spreading this feeling I have inside now to all of you, to everyone. So not just to use it, but to live it, to teach it, to multiply it. So today, it's about giving you the framework for lasting wealth, for the stewardship. And you're going to leave with real clarity of what is the next step for you, for where you're at in your journey. And here's my question. Are you ready to step on the mat? Are you ready to get a little bit uncomfortable? Are you ready to be honest with yourself? Let's go. So last night, we were blessed to have Master Daniel Jimenez come down from the Jacksonville beach area and train with us. And we always talk about life's always happening for us. Why is this relevant to any of you and your money and what you're talking about? Because Master Menace was a professional fighter for 16 years. His son, who is 16 or 17 years old, is about to enter college, but he's already a pro golfer. He's about to be on the PGA Tour. And it comes through this exact methodology that I'm teaching you. And I got to go into class last night and be put completely out of my comfort zone with things that we don't work on all the time, with different movements that we don't work on all the time. And it was exhilarating. It was exhilarating. And so pop this in the chat. I've got a question for all of you. What is, with martial arts or really anything, what is the hardest belt to get? What's the hardest belt to get? That's right. It's the white belt, right? It's the white belt because you have to get on the mat. You have to get over all of those self-doubts of, what if I'm too old? What if I can't kick very high because my hips are a wreck? What if I look silly? I'm just here to support my kids. You know what? I'm here to support my spouse. I'm here to support my neighbor's kid. Whatever. You know, whatever you have, I'm too busy. I work too much. I couldn't do that at this time. It's not convenient. Well, growth is rarely convenient, but once you get over that uncomfortable, unsure, awkward moment and you step on the mat, you leave feeling different. You leave feeling proud of yourself. You start feeling, maybe I can do this. Maybe, just maybe this is for me. Maybe this is something that I can start applying. And I'm going to be like, Bruce Lee or the IP man. And every rep, you start building more confidence. And eventually, with the reps, you go from pretending you know what you're doing to you actually kind of know what you're doing. Kind of. It takes time, it takes years. I mean, the road to mastery is endless. And that repetitions start building your competence. And then when your competence increases, that's going to build clarity. That's going to build confidence. And that leads to bigger opportunities, bigger decisions. How far will you take this? You got out of the chair, you got onto the mat. Now where will you go? I had this conversation with someone earlier today. How much do you want to make? Where are you going to go from this moment in time to that big, amazing, beautiful future? And so, with all of you right now, what if it was the same way when it comes about money? What if the same thing is about money? So, the first step in the 3T methodology is training. It is thinking for yourself. Remember, I tell you on a regular basis now, don't believe the words coming out of my mouth. Why do I say that? Why would I tell you that? Because I want you to think for yourself. I'm nothing more than a mentor, a guide, someone that is practicing this in my own life. And I want to be able to share that with each of you. The mission's huge. How do we take back control of the money in America? But you know where it starts? It starts at home. It starts with you. It starts in this moment. Like the t-shirt says, when's a better time than when? Now. And so when you start seeing that money is nothing more than a game, money is nothing more than a sport. How many of you here, pop in the chat, do you love a sport? Do you love maybe an instrument? Do you have a passion about something? What if the game of money could be fun? What if the game of money is just like going into Duolingo and learning a new language? What if the game of money could be gamified and you could have tools you could understand through a series of education, learning, participating, and training that you could actually control your money? You could actually set yourself up with an opportunity fund over time that you control. And the living benefits that we offer are the only ones that I see that offer all of the things, that check all of the boxes. The only thing you're not doing is deferring the compensation. But the first step is the training, getting on the mat, doing the reps, reading the information, getting clarity on where you're at, following the laws of wealth, which I'll go through, weighing in, knowing what comes in, knowing what goes out, paying yourself first, automating it, doing all the things. But it's the training. It is the consistent, persistent behavior of doing the things over and over and over again, consistently, persistently. Reminds me of going back and, when I was training as an Ironman. I would look at my training for the week of, phew, I can't look a whole week ahead. There is too much. I am just going to get ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Oh, Tuesday's a swim and a lift day. Okay. I get up. I put all my stuff in the bag. I got my clothes for work. Everything's laid out. I got my food ready. I get up, I go super early, I'm half asleep, I look at the workout as I get in the pool, and I just do it. And then I move to the next thing, and then to the next thing, and then to the next thing. And then eventually I'm getting statuses like all world athlete, and I'm not even that solid of a triathlete, but I did the repetitions over time and time and time. And it's the same for you and your money. But again, if we're looking at the first T of money, the first T is what? The first T is the training. It is getting off the mat. Stop being on the sidelines and letting other people care more about your financial life and your money than you. Get that clarity, that certainty, that direction, the confidence, the control, the guarantees. And then what do you have to do? Well, then you got to test yourself. You got to do the work. You've trained, you've showed up, you've done the reps. The reps that gave you understanding, the reps that gave you ownership. But if it's just knowledge, is it really doing anything for you? Not yet. Not yet. As our chief master tells us, hey, we're training you right here, right now, so you can defend yourself. But the only way that you know if someone came up and choked you from the side, from the back, from the front, when you address the immediate danger, when you address what is around your neck in that moment and you peel that and then you pop them and then you go through the whole sequence, you won't know unless you test yourself, unless you know that you can do it without thinking. How do you do that? Well, you can go pick a fight with someone, or you can sign up for a tournament. You can go train or test yourself against others who are of similar quality or better, so you can push yourself and see what you know. And then you come back and you can say, hey, what worked well? What didn't work so well? What could I do better? And this is getting on the mat by going through the application process and starting your specially engineered whole life policy when it comes to banking. The testing is doing. The testing is going through underwriting. The testing is getting approved, is having the conversation about what is today's goal and how do we connect it to that big vision a decade, a century from now? How do we take you from here and give you the practical map, the steps to get here? And when you build the opportunity fund over time, whether you do it all at once and you jump in the deep end or you build it monthly over time, you get approved and you fund it, meaning now you're an owner in a mutually owned dividend paying whole life company that's been profitable for over 100 years consecutively. Every single one of the mutually owned companies we work with. So if there's any confusion, step one, train, learn, get clarity on your personal economy at home. Understand what you want. What is the first thing you're solving so you can take the steps forward? Are you being honest with yourself when it comes to the laws of wealth? When you're ready to test, that's when you want to book a call with me. That's when you want to get on the mat and have a conversation. And I'll pop it on the side here in the chat. You can get it down below. But this is the time when you want to test, is when you want to have a personal conversation around where are you today? What are your goals? What is happening with your money coming in, your money going out? Where are you storing your money? And if we can change one thing, just where your money is stored, where it goes first, and then take the steps, this is the next step. It's going through underwriting. It's getting approved for a specially engineered whole life with a mutually owned company. And then what we're doing is we're multiplying your money, giving your $1 3 jobs. How many of you would want to give $1 3 jobs? One thing, 3 jobs. Your money's working harder. You're not working any harder. Now you're doing what the wealthy do. Their money's working for them, not the other way around. And you get all the benefits. You get the uninterrupted, tax-free, protected from attorneys, protected from Uncle Sam, guaranteed, uninterrupted, tax-free, compound interest that's accessible, liquid, living benefits for your whole life. Isn't this wild? Like I said, if people would do what we're talking about here today, Would their life change forever? Yes. Would it fundamentally solve all their problems? Yes. Is three T's complicated? No, not even a little bit. And you do all these things. And now you're going to discover something while you start testing yourself. You're going to build the opportunity fund. You're going to start tracking what's going into this opportunity fund, what's going out. How are you either quickly, rapidly eliminating debt and taking the interest back? Because the reality is we finance everything we buy. We're either paying interest or earning it. So the first step, if you have debt hanging around your neck and dragging you down like an anchor, the first step is taking back control of that and being on both sides of the equation. Because remember, if you're not preparing yourself, guess what happens? When something happens, when an event happens, when change happens, what do? If you haven't built the opportunity fund, the what if fund, the rainy day fund, what do? Well, you borrow from others. And they're not giving you loans because they feel bad for you, because you're good looking. And now you guys are super, and gals are super good looking, but that's not why you're getting a loan. They're giving you a loan because they can make money, because it's a super profitable business, the most profitable business in the world. So the first step of eliminating debt, it's a pretty universal one here in the States, right? With most people carrying some debt, not you guys, but the other people out there carrying debt. Or you're building up the opportunity fund for major purchases, new vehicles, new homes, in addition to the home, a renovation on a rental property, and a business investment, whatever it might be. Or you're multiplying the money. You're making a spread. Now you're going into putting your little green men to work. You're going out and using your green army, and they're going out and they're working hard for you, making money. And all the while, you have the guaranteed death benefit that is going to create millionaires in your family. Think about that. One change, the next generation is millionaires. So, this is where this comes in. This is the important third T, the teaching of the methodology. You've trained, you've adjusted, you said what worked well, what didn't work well, what would I've done different? Maybe I would have went with a bigger base. Maybe I would have went with a smaller dump in. Maybe I would have changed the design, or would have I? Because your thinking is always going to be rethinking as you go through this. And now, because you've trained, you've tested, you become the verb of the banker. Now, what do you owe it to the rest of the world? Would it be fair if you just kept it to yourself? How many of you would feel good if you just decided, you know what? I know this, but people are uncomfortable talking about money. So I'm not going to mention that I privatize my own banking system. I've got the Sipple family bank, or the Nolt family bank, or the Hollingsworth family bank, if I didn't call it, or the Holiday family bank. There's a lot of good family bankers here. We have our family banks. Who are we teaching this to? Are we teaching our kids? Are they involved? Are we showing them how what is in our family banking system, how the money's flowing back, how we're repaying our system for future opportunities? This is something you don't need to do, but it's something that you're going to want to do, because when you know that something works, you're going to feel like it's a disservice to keep to yourself. You're going to see people financing things and you're going to think, wow, I used to think like that. I used to think just like them. That's weird. I can't believe I used to think like them. How are they buying their cars? You start shaking your head. You get to the point where, like, Chris Nagel's like, man, these people, I know that they've either paid cash, leased their car, financed it, or stolen it. But what if they could get all the money back, all the interest they would have paid to someone else back in their family, kept a ton of the capital, and actually had their money growing the whole time they had the car? You start thinking, wow. So you got to start teaching, own the message. And when you start teaching, you realize, hey, just like martial arts, I really didn't know that combination of what I was supposed to be throwing in that moment, because I hadn't put the reps in. I hadn't had the conversations. And now you're not preaching to anyone, you're teaching them because you're sharing your experience. You're helping others think critically, to rethink their thinking. You're leading by example. You're planting seeds. And seeds don't grow instantly. They take time, they take watering, they take nurturing. It's why we've built this for all of you, because we want a community, a place where we can come together as practitioners, as people who want a better life for ourselves and our families. And the 3T methodology, the training, the testing, the teaching, and sometimes you're going to train and you're going to teach and then you test. Can intermix these things, but as any great athlete, as any great person of mastery, you're showing up and you're doing the fundamentals. You're following the laws of wealth. You're committing to mastery. So if you've trained, like many of you here have, and now you've tested, many of you here today have tested. How many are teaching? Maybe you're teaching. What's next? How committed to you are you to mastery? You can be fully committed. You can be partially committed. You can be not committed at all. You just have a glorified savings account. But if you're committed to mastery, what's next? Who are you helping next? Who are you spreading the message to? You know, is it time yet? Have you applied all of these principles to be able to have more capital than your system can hold? And that might take 3 to 4 years. It might take a year. It might take 5 years. It might take 10 years. But are you ready for another warehouse of wealth? Again, it's not about your finances only. It's about your life, your lifestyle, your purpose. It's about multiplication. If we know this works, the reason I'm here is because I know that I couldn't sleep at night if I wasn't here spreading this message. The fear of not having money and not having control of my money for years, thinking I could just show up and do things, it led to bad habits. It led to me looking for escapes. It led to so much pain and grief. And so, my question for all of you, now that you know this, what will you do with that information? And here was an aha moment I had this week. Test everything. I had one of my Taekwondo buddies who has a regular old whole life with a big mutually owned company that doesn't support IBC, that has a car financed through a bank. I kept telling him, just take the loan. Just take the loan and pay yourself back, because you will come out ahead, because simple interest is always going to beat the amortized interest. And you tell me that the loan at his whole life mutually owned company that's well over 100 years old, one of the largest ones, they just don't support banking, is 7.25%. Now we're seeing between 5 and 6% with the mutually owned company. So if you're new, just know that this is just test everything. This is the point of this story. And then we found out it's direct recognition. We ran the numbers. We still got to run some more numbers. But we realized is that he's actually saving interest, because the cost of money from the bank is actually cheaper than the interest he would have saved by borrowing from himself. Now, there's still other factors there, but the point is we reran the plan, we're rerunning the math, we're looking at other methodologies, other ways that I can teach him this system or just help him make the best decisions in his life. And what I realized is you have to run the numbers, you have to do the math, you have to be willing to really take a holistic look at everything and see what the cost is. And I'm sharing that because some of you might think infinite banking's magic, the only solution, the magic bullet. It's not. It's the foundation. It's the practice. It's the process. And then we want to expand the foundation once it's built. Once your money has a home that you can grow, that you can multiply, that you can scale, you can start deciding when you take risks, not because you have to, but because you want to. And so a real quick recap of the 7 laws, because I just talked about them earlier, was You're paying yourself first and you're automating at least 10%. You're creating a margin. You're not letting your lifestyle creep in and you're paying yourself another 10%. So that's 20% off the top. You make 100 grand, that's 20 grand a year you're putting aside. If you say, I can't do that, Jason, I'm only at, 4% or 4.5%. I know it's none of you here today, but it might be someone seeing this for the first time and saying, I can't save that 10 or 20%. Well, start at 4.5. Go to 5, go to 6, make progress, train, work towards it over time, right? Number 3 is actually creating uninterrupted compound interest. And where do you do that? You do that in this system, in a mutually owned, dividend paying whole life policy, right? You're always building your system and borrowing against it, never interrupting this compound interest. Number 4 is invest in your most valuable asset, you. You are your most valuable asset. 5 is don't take on bad debt. Don't take on that noose around your neck and understand the difference between bad and good debt. And 6 is track every dollar. Respect the heck out of your money. Don't love it. Respect it as the tool it is for the game that you are playing. And then this one, a little controversial. If you're giving from lack, maybe you pause and find another way to give other than financial. Could you go give your time? Could you go work at a soup kitchen? Could you show your kids how to volunteer for things? Could you go help build a home? Could you give time? Because when you give from lack, when you're not following the first 6 laws, well, then it's going to be really hard for you to reach your goals and help others. You got to put on your oxygen mask first. But then when you build it, now you can tithe in a big way. You can give more. You can contribute more financially. You can give from strength, not lack. And so, as we wind down another episode, today you've got a clear map. You learned the 3T methodology. You were able to train by stepping on the mat, doing the hardest thing. We challenged your old money beliefs that maybe you weren't worthy, you weren't smart enough, whatever they might have been. And then you test yourself by seeing how going through the underwriting process, getting approved to be an owner and in control and guarantees with all the living benefits, not just on paper, it's taking action. And then you turn around and you recognize teaching is the way that you spread the message. It's the way that you give back. And you didn't just learn a tactic, you learn the framework, a mindset for stewardship and multiplication. And maybe, like me, you started out unsure. What's he talking about? Maybe you feel that it can't be that simple. A 3T methodology that changes one thing only. Where do we store our surplus or savings? So maybe you still feel like a white belt. But here's what I've learned. Every master was once a beginner. They were the student first. And the ones who are the most willing to start, awkward, unsure, humble, curious. Again, this was never just about your finances. It's about alignment, stewardship, and living intentionally. We walk through the 3 T's: training, testing, teaching, and now trust your growth. You have a system to build wealth with clarity, confidence, and purpose. So what's your next move? What's your next step? Is it getting a new policy in place? Are you revisiting how you store cash, what you're doing to build and test your system? Is it starting a conversation with your spouse, your advisor, your community? Whatever it is, don't wait. Step on the mat, trust your growth, trust your heart, trust that you will be a good steward and go multiply what's being given to you. Because the world doesn't need more consumers, it needs more stewards, and it starts with you. So book a call with me, scan that. You can also book a call here direct with me, as I put in the chat earlier. Let me know what other questions you might have. Reach out, keep the messages. We appreciate the messages we're getting on a weekly basis. You guys are awesome. You're sending us messages, breakthroughs that you're having, aha moments. Share those things with us. Send them to myself or Patty. We'll talk about them. We'll bring it here. This is our community. Remember, if you're new here, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, because you might be alerted to new content. And I'm going to see you in this next video over here to teach you more about the infinite banking concept. And, you know, you have all the tools that you need, all of them. Now go, own it, act upon it, and reach your dreams. Be blessed. Thank you as always for your time, for your energy. I do not take this lightly. I am so honored and incredibly grateful. Have a blessed rest of your day.